Welcome everyone. It's Monday again, and I'm so excited that you are all here. And it's another installment of Insights with Alicia, my favorite thing to do on Monday nights now. And for those of you that are watching on Facebook, remember I can't see your comments. Someday I'll have all of the tech things I need to be able to do that. So pop on the Zoom link and then you can speak to us in the chat. It'll be great. So and get my notes here. We got some good stuff to talk about tonight, so I definitely have notes. So I am Alicia Sweezer of Who Knew Healing. The reason we get together on Monday nights is because I was led by the universe to start sharing some of the things that I teach my clients, some of the insights that I get from myself, that I help my friends with and help me every day. So for those of you who don't know who I am an intuitive life coach, animal consultant, psychic medium, intuitive mentor, and my passion is helping people and animals. So thank you so much for joining. As usual, we usually have something really good to drink on Monday night. It's my usual iced tea. So hopefully you guys have something that you are enjoying this evening, because I talk a lot, so I need to be able to have something to drink. All right, so what are we going to talk about tonight? It's Monday. Like, this is the good stuff. I'm so excited. Hopefully you had a really good weekend. Hopefully your Monday wasn't too crazy. So tonight we're going to talk about how comparing, we've all done it, how comparing can lead to competition and what that looks like in our lives. So comparing, right? It's such a common human thing. I guarantee you animals do not compare themselves to each other. There's not a male lion that sits around and is upset because, you know, Fred, the other male lion's mane is much bigger and more luxurious than his. This is very much a human construct. So animals, they just, you know, we're supposed to be smarter than them according to the humans, but they don't do that. So we've all compared ourselves at one point or another, right? And there will be moments where we do it again. The objective is to catch ourselves when we're doing it. It does not bring us any happiness. And the truth is that we are each on our own path and timeline. And when we think we are comparing, we think we're comparing apples to apples. And the truth is that we're comparing an apple to a banana, to a pear, because every human is completely different. We are so unique. We are individuals. And just let more people in here. Perfect, she's in. All right. So like I said, it's not apples to apples. There's not even a possibility. And for all my science friends out there, because you know I have that part, even in twins, it's not apples to apples because they each have their own being, their own soul, and their own consciousness. So don't try and get me on that one. Just kidding. So like I said, it's apples to pears to bananas. Each and every one of us came here to have our own unique human experience. And when we realize that, it offers us so much peace and freedom. So when we're comparing ourselves to someone, we're doing one of two things. We're either putting them on a pedestal, we believe that they're better than us, or we're putting them below us, we believe we're better than them. Neither of those is kind, and neither of those is a contribution to anyone involved. Because the truth is that nobody, if you believe in the spiritual concept, right, of like we're all one, nobody is above or below. There are things that people are better at, and like the language that I use with some of the stuff that I use, like I'm just further down the path. Like that's why I get to teach, you know, the people certain things and mentor them on certain things, because I've done it. I'm just further down the path. I'm not above or below. I'm not better, just further down. And there are people that are further down the path on other things, you know, that I'll never learn how to do. Like, I don't know how to play any musical instruments or anything like that. Do they make, you know, does that make them a better person? No, because we're all the same on that. They may be better at other things, but we don't always think of that concept. We think of it's just person to person. So I apologize. There's a really loud noise outside of Phoenix. We have a storm that's getting ready to come in. So I was like, is that the wind? So when we're doing that, when we're putting them on a pedestal, or we're putting ourselves on a pedestal compared to them, we're projecting our judgments and our beliefs onto them. And you may think that you're in the clear or clean, as you hear me say all the time, because most of the people don't know you're comparing, because you're doing it in your head. But energetically, that's not true. In our minds, we're competing with them. People do feel the energy of your projections on them. Now, everyone might not be consciously aware of it, but they feel it, and it will affect their behavior and energy towards you. Remember, we talked about a couple of weeks ago in the animal video, every creature on this planet feels energy. The other part is that comparing is all about ego. Comparing and any information gained from it is a lie. Why is comparing a lie? Because all of that information, meaning the thoughts and the emotions that you gain from it, are based on your own perception and filters. None of it is accurate or real. It's like that old adage, right? Of like, there's three sides to every conversation. There's this person's side, and what was actually said. Because we see everything through our own filters and perspectives. So when you're comparing, you have all that stuff in between. You're not actually seeing the situation for what it is. So when we're comparing ourselves with someone else, it really comes from a core root place of judgment, judging ourselves, even though a lot of the times the behavior looks like we're judging someone else. And sometimes verbally, like if we express our comparing to another person, it can, they'll feel judgment, but really what's underneath is a judgment of ourselves. So when we compare ourselves to someone, we feel better. It feeds our ego. It gives us a rush of power. We won the competition, right? Like, oh, I'm better than that person in this instance, right? You get that hit, and it's all conditional because it's a trade and it's temporary. It does not sustain us. And then that sense of feeling better about ourselves, right, that we get in that quick moment of like, oh yeah, it dissipates. And then we're off trying to get the next hit for our addiction. We are constantly chasing something outside of ourselves, and that will exhaust us and leave us drained. And not just with comparing, like you guys hear me say all of the time, anything we're chasing something outside of ourselves, it's going to drain us. So the other part is that comparing is a getting behavior. Now, what's a getting behavior? I don't think we've talked about those very much on Monday nights so far. Maybe we'll have a session or a night about just those. A getting behavior is when we do something or behave in a certain way that gets us something from someone. It's a manipulation. It could be we're, trying to get their attention, their approval, their love, their time, getting them to do something for us, anything like that. And in regards to comparing, some of the getting behaviors can look like lying, clinging, victimhood, chasing. Like that's the manifestation of the behavior. The other thing is when we're verbally comparing ourselves with someone, even our friends, because we do it, it's a getting behavior also, because in those instances, when we have a friend that's comparing themselves to us, they're wanting us to dim our light, to bring ourselves down, to make them feel better. And for me, that's not a behavior that I like to have in my inner circle. That's just a personal preference, right? I like to have people that want to collaborate, support each other, lift each other up. And it's a very human thing until we learn different, until we learn that there is a more functional and an alignment way to be able to connect with people. So I'm going to give you an example of this, right? You guys know that I've been doing a lot of new stuff with my business, right? I've been redesigning my website, creating all these new programs, doing these videos and these events that I love, writing the blog, like all this stuff in the last, 4 months, maybe, has just been this boom of all these things I've decided to do. And there are people in my life who are comparing themselves to me, and I hate that for them. And these are people I really care about. This is what the conversation looks like. They say, my website is so boring compared to yours. You're doing all of this stuff and I'm doing nothing. And do you feel that? Like that automatically doesn't feel good. Do you feel the energy? It's very draining. You can feel the pull from them on that. Now, they're not bad or wrong for that. We've all been in that place. But particularly in your inner circle, but in any other kind of place, like we don't want interactions like that. We want interactions that fill us up, that contribute, right? That you then move about your day. And because one, it spills over to the other people in your life, which is great. So what's really happening is this person is wanting in this interaction for me to say, oh, mine's not that great. Yours is really good. I like XYZ about yours. I'm not really doing that much stuff, and on and on and on. They're wanting me to diminish myself and give them praise, attention, conditional love in that moment. And here's the thing. What's really happening in the situation is someone is just feeling bad about their website and ultimately themselves. Totally normal. We all judge ourselves, our own stuff, and then we want someone else to make us feel better. Totally normal also. What someone just needs in that moment is our love and our support, right? That's all really anyone wants. Like, who doesn't? So in this particular instance, so this person, she's wanting a trade. She's wanting to trade her victimhood, her getting behavior, right, for my attention. This is only going to fill her up temporarily. So how can this be done differently? How can this be done so that she gets filled up and unconditionally, meaning didn't have to manipulate to get it, so she unconditionally feels cared about and supported in a sustainable way? And how can it be done differently so that I don't get drained? Here it is. Some of you will be happy, some of you won't. We tell the truth, the 100% vulnerable, authentic truth. And I know stresses some people out, like I felt y'all get a little tight because we have had so many instances in our lives where we have been vulnerable, where we have been authentically ourselves, and the other person wasn't able to receive it, right? We've been attacked in those instances. So it's very much a protecting thing. And the truth is right, when we really want to have this kind of connection with people, and I'm not just talking like romantic, like there's an intimacy that gets created in friendships also. That's such a pure, in alignment, amazing kind of connection. This is what we want to have with our inner circle and our romantic partner. So, like I said, I know it's not easy. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's vulnerable, and it will work, I promise. So the conversation can look like this person says to me, instead of her saying, hey, my stuff looks really bad, yours looks good, you know, that kind of thing. She tells the truth and she says, I am feeling bad and judging myself about the way my website looks. When I look at yours, it inspires me, but then I feel envious or jealous and I start comparing myself to you. And it makes me feel better, but I want to make you feel bad and downplay your efforts. Do you feel how the energy in that is different? Do you feel how open her heart is in that? Like, it's precious and it's lovable. Like, if someone were to, like, I just want to hug her and be like, yes, absolutely. I get that. There is what we call strength through can't talk tonight. Strength through vulnerability. And there's so many times, like I just mentioned, like that we've been vulnerable and we're like, but when we're authentically being us, there is such a self-integrity strength that comes through in that moment, that even if that person can't receive it, even if that person has an opinion that isn't a match for us, it's not going to knock us down like it has in the past. Because there's such a growth and a power, I'm not talking about force, there's a power, empowerment that comes from telling your authentic truth. You're not being the little kid, right? Like, hey, you're a full-grown adult, confident in those moments because you're telling the truth about yourself. Like, people can have opinions about that. It doesn't matter because it's your absolute truth. Their opinions don't get in, right? So what I would say back is I totally understand those feelings. It is so hard not to judge ourselves when we compare ourselves to someone or something else, and that there is no comparison here. We're just in different places, right? Remember I talked about further down the path? We're just in different places with our websites and our businesses. We are on our own timelines and we get to support each other in those. This is where we get to collaborate and not compete. This is the next level of creation, right? This is that higher vibration. And I would say to her, you're doing so many things and it's amazing. And you have so much happening in your life already that your website just isn't a priority right now. And that means absolutely nothing. That doesn't define you or your worth, right? Which is what we're really doing when we're comparing ourselves. It goes right to our self-worth. So I would be like, I fully trust that when it's time for you to create your website, it will be amazing. And most importantly, it's going to be all you. When you look at it, it's going to feel like you. It's going to look like you, not me. It's going to be 100% authentically you. So in conversations like that, this is what it can really, really look like. You see how different it is? That's the conscious communication. And you guys know how passionate I am about that. Like, that's my thing. So thank you, Cato, for writing in the chat box. She's like, great example. Glad I picked one that made sense. Love when that happens. I wrote this a couple of days ago, and you know how my writing works. It's like I sit down and it just comes out. So I'm thrilled that it makes sense outside of my head. So like I'm saying, there's just this connection that's created there. There's a particular intimacy and a healing that happens, right? We've talked about how really people just want to be seen and heard. Like they don't want to be fixed. Like, right, we've had Monday nights about that. That active listening and just being present and not needing to offer solutions or fix someone. That's not what's always required. So most of the time people just want to be seen and heard. And when they're telling their authentic truth about a situation, it has the ability to have people lean in, right? Which is what we want in our relationships. We want that mutuality, not the trade that I'm talking about, right? Where you do this and I do that, or I said like all those getting behaviors, but the actual leaning in. And that doesn't mean that it's always easy. It doesn't mean that it's comfortable. That doesn't mean that you still don't want to run. And I get it. I absolutely get it. Your first response may still always be to run. And then you go, wait, I'm a runner. Am I running? Is this self-care, right? And we talk about having that mindset shift for yourself. You're not wrong for still wanting to run. It's just a trauma response. But then you lean in because you've made a decision to have these people in your life, particularly like I'm saying, your inner circle, your romantic partner, family. And so this is where that type of relationship gets created. And when you lean in like that, she feels loved. I don't have to diminish myself to make her feel better, which as a recovering people pleaser is, you know, a huge bonus and a constant practice for me. This honesty opens the door. And like I just said, it provided an opportunity for a freely given exchange, not a trade. Jeez, what's with my talking tonight? I don't think I've talked very much today. Maybe I'm just trying to get it all out, like, because I'm so excited that you guys are here. She didn't have to manipulate to get my attention or my time. She gets filled up sustainably. And so do I, because I was able to freely love her in that moment. And that always, always fills us up. When you are freely giving of anything, whether it's your time, your love, attention, freely given, always fills you up. That's one of the things that's so confusing to people when I start to teach them the difference between trading and freely giving. It's like, no, because they're like, oh, but what if I run out? Or what if I don't have enough to give? And it's like, you never run out if you're freely giving, because it's what fills you up. So we get to this place where we don't have to reduce ourselves to make someone else feel better. And the other thing that is just so fascinating and hysterical to me about comparing, because like I said, I do too. You know, some of the people that watch this video and join these events, they've seen me, particularly when I was learning all this, some of this new marketing stuff. And I was like, there's so many out there, right? There's so many people to teach it. And my stuff doesn't look like theirs, but you know, and we attach all the lies to it, right? Like, oh, I won't get clients, like all your business stuff if you're an entrepreneur. And then you remember, you're like, no, right? Because I'm psychic. So then I go, who's my match? And that's the person that I work with. And now I love what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, I love the things that I'm creating on my website. I love the things on my blog. It's a match for me. I have friends who chose totally different marketing people and their website looks completely different. And that's awesome because that's a match for them. But there are all those places where you go, oh, am I supposed to be doing that one? Because this lady's amazing and this lady, and then you got to remember, right? Come back to what's a match for you. So this funny thing about comparing is that when we're doing it, we think we're the only one doing it. It never dawns us. It's a very self-absorptive behavior, right? Some arrogance in there, maybe. I'm not going to say narcissist because it's not a narcissist behavior. We never think that the person we're comparing ourselves to might actually be comparing themselves back to us, or someone else. And it was so funny. This dawned, I'm just popping this in now because I'm having a memory. I was in I took a class recently and there was, group facilitation that went with part of it. And I was talking right where I was like, oh, I'm learning how to do all this stuff and all this tech stuff and make these videos. And, it was very scary for me. and I didn't like being on camera. So, but as I listed these things and all these things I was struggling with and being challenged by, 2 other people in the class were like, I wish I was doing those things. Like here I am thinking I'm so far behind, right? Like so not even on the path with some of this stuff. And other people who I think are absolutely amazing. Like these 2 people are just hitting it out of the park with what they're doing and how they're contributing to people in this world. And they were like, I wish I was doing that stuff. And I was like, holy moly, right? So like I said, we think we're the only ones that do it, but other people do it too. And we always think that someone else has it going on, right? Like it's always the grass is greener. We think that their life is so much better than ours. And the truth is that it's because we don't have all the information. We're comparing 100% of our world to 10% of theirs. It never dawns on us that it's not even close, right? Especially with all the social media and that kind of stuff, that, that's never the full story. And so you just see, right, all these happy moments, happy moments, happy moments. Well, yeah, because most people don't post their authentic parts of like, hey, you know what, I had a really bad day today. So all you see is like the highlight reel, and you're comparing your entire movie, right, that's still ongoing, to someone else's highlight reel. That's never going to lead to our happiness ever. And that's not because you're doing it wrong. That's just a human thing. It's never going to make you happy. So like I said, comparing is a lie. You believe you are competing with someone else when the truth is you're only competing with yourself. And that doesn't serve us, and it's exhausting. You are always in first place in your own life. You always get the blue ribbon. You always get the gold medal in your own life. Like we get to own that because it's true. We think we're running this race with everyone else. And the truth is like, no, we're just here all doing our own thing. So comparing, if you catch yourself, great. That's a massive win. The catching yourself, because I have a couple of clients that comparing is a really big thing with them, and it's one of the things that we work on and do some mindset shifts. And it's fun for me, and I love it, like that I get to contribute to people, and when they have these aha moments and they start to catch themselves and they compare less, and because right as they're healing inside, the need to compare starts to diminish. And it really is just this really cool place. So even at a minimum, if you start to catch yourself one time, that's a win, because you don't have to turn it into another competition. You don't have to set the bar so high that you're like, oh, I've got to catch myself every time I'm comparing, or I've got to beat myself up because, oh, I compared myself to something or someone else again. It's all about just having the awarenesses in the moment. So I hope that made sense tonight. I hope it was super helpful and a contribution. This is what came up this week, and that is what we talked about tonight. So as usual, everything I'm going to talk about now, all of the links are in the event info, whether it's on the meetup or on the Facebook event. If there are people that this information can help, please, please, please share the video. It's going to be uploaded to YouTube tonight under Alicia Sweezer. So please pass it on to them, because I know so many people compare, and it's almost like we do this, right? Like anyone who's had any trauma in their lifetime, we always want to prepare, right? We do everything, like that's why we worry so much, because we believe that the worrying is a sense of preparing, because we don't ever want to be blindsided again. We don't ever want to have trauma happen to us again. So we believe if we obsess and we worry about it and we think of every possible interaction or anything that could possibly happen to us, even though 99.9 of them never happen, we think we're prepared. And comparing falls into that energy as well. Like we go, oh, okay, if I'm comparing to them, like they're better at me at this. So if they come at me and say something, it's almost like I'm going to judge them before they judge me. But we don't realize that that's actually what comparing is doing. So if say I go to a meetup and I see someone and I'm like, oh, and I judge them, right? I'm like, I compare myself to them, like, oh, they're more outgoing than I am, right? Because I'm a massive introvert. Or they do the same thing I do, but they have a different gift than I have, right? Like that's a big thing for intuitive people, which is why I love that I get to mentor intuitives, is that we think we're supposed to have, I know I'm still chatting, but this is what's coming through. It's Monday night. We think when we're having our awakening to our psychic abilities that we're supposed to have every gift that's out there. And I get it. I'm a massive overachiever. Like, you guys know that about me. It's like, if it's out there, I want to have it. It's not possible. Heck, I can barely keep up with the things I do have on some days. So, but we don't know that. We're like, oh, and so you meet someone who has a different gift and you're like, oh, that would be a really cool gift to have. But it doesn't stop there. Then we go into the, the comparing of like, oh, well, they can do that. I can't do that. Like, oh, they must be better at it. No, they just have a different set of skills. That's all it is. Like I said, right? Apples to oranges to bananas to pears, because every single person is different. But when I just know, I struggled with it, and a lot of people that I mentor, it's a conversation we have where it's like, no, you have your gifts, and some of them develop and new ones pop up all the time. Like, there's stuff I do now that I didn't do a few years ago, but there's no comparison. And here's the thing. One, you can't keep up with all of them. If you had every gift out there. The other part is there are people that I call when there are certain things that I need because they're not gifts that I have. So what does that create? It creates connection. It also allows them, right? Because I'm the student in that instance, it allows them to be the teacher. It allows them the opportunity to fulfill their life's path, right? Because we always think, oh, and we're the student, oh, it's so bad. No, teachers need students. I can't be a teacher if I don't have students. So, and it's the same thing because I judge myself when I'm the student. So I know what I'm talking about here. So yes, there isn't this comparing. It doesn't serve us. So my little digression there. But if there are people that this comparing could help, so please tell them about the video, share it with them. Link is in, like I said, the event info. And as always, thank you to everyone who has donated to my cosmic tip jar. One, I get to practice receiving, and two, it really allows me to continue to create more free things like this that I can give to people. If you're interested, PayPal link, in the event. And as always, if anything that I talked about tonight made you want to learn more, reach out, book a session, or schedule your free discovery call for my amazing coaching program, right, that I launched. There's still some spots left, and let's see what we can create together. So thank you everyone for showing up. You know how much I absolutely love these Monday nights events, and I love connecting with you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. I know I have a friend who's in Seattle, so it's definitely cooler there than it is up here. It's been very humid in Phoenix the last couple of days because we've had a lot of rain. I have not enjoyed that. I am a desert girl. I like it. I like the heat dry. So it's supposed to rain later this week again too. So hopefully you guys have a fabulous week. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and I will see you next Monday. All right, bye.